What's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today, but obviously the first story that we got to get to is Neckzilla Rubiel Mascara in his latest post. Now, to be honest with you guys, I think this is another bad move on his part, and I'm not really sure why he would do this other than maybe his sponsors making him kind of issue a retraction, but this wasn't really a retraction. It was saying all this news is fake about him being sick, about his sponsors forcing him to compete, etc. So he posted this video and he showed screenshots of the Who is the Best Bodybuilder Instagram post, where they have a screenshot quoting him, saying, "The week before the show, I got sick. I was on medication for 3 days. My sponsor forced me to compete." So the problem with Rubiel saying that this is all fake news, none of this is true, it's just malicious, again, and I don't know why he would issue this statement, because there's video of this, and I have it, and I'm going to show it to you guys. He did a live stream after the show, and I'm guessing maybe he thinks since the live stream's deleted, nobody can go back and look at what he actually said, but I have the clip that all these pages are referencing. But before we get to that, you guys can see on screen in this video that he posted with the caption, this is what he's saying in the video, and then this is what he's saying in the caption. He says, "I feel very grateful for all the support from my followers. I've received many messages from everyone, and I can only feel more motivated by all the work that I have done so far. After the Dubai Pro competition, I wanted to do a live to thank everyone who supported me in the process, but some people with unknown intentions took the information to create fake news and say things that have never happened. Nobody forced me to compete. On the contrary, in the most difficult moments, I have always had the support of my sponsor and the entire work team, which is like a family to me. I simply want to clarify that all the news is fake. We will continue working on the process and focused even more. Thank you for all the good energy." So with that being said, Rubiel is saying all this is fake news. So I'm going to show you guys the clip. The clip is in Spanish, but I'm just going to play you guys the whole clip, and then I'll show you guys the transcription and translation of exactly what he's saying in this clip. So here's the clip first.
Yo no iba a competir. Yo una semana antes venía muy bien y viajamos a Abu Dhabi. Yo me informé, no había contado eso, pero yo me informé. Me enfermé, me dio el cambio de clima, me afectó mucho. Me dio gripa, me dio fiebre, me dio escalofrío y tuve pues todo como 3 días medicado. Y pues en esos días tuve una retención de líquidos muy alta. La verdad que pues pensé que no iba a competir. Yo hablé con los patrocinadores, hablé con la gente más cercana y dije, no, yo no voy a competir, me siento bien, tengo una retención de líquidos y la puesta a punto hace falta. Y yo, no, pues ya está acá, pues compita. Y bueno, competimos y pues ocupamos un 4º lugar. Pues muy contento pues por eso, pues.
All right, so that's what he said in Spanish, and I have 2 versions of what this transcription says. So I'm going to read you guys what the AI translator transcriber said. Then I'm also going to read you guys what a Spanish-speaking subscriber translated this to mean. So you've got the AI non-human machine version of what it is. Then you've got a guy that actually speaks Spanish translating it for me, and they're both essentially saying the same thing. So this is the transcription. He says, "I didn't go to compete. A week before, I was doing very well. We traveled to Abu Dhabi. I got sick. I'm not going to tell you why I got sick, but I got sick. The weather changed. It affected me a lot. I got a flu, a fever, a cold, and I had 3 days of medication. And in those days, I had a very high level of fluid retention. The truth is, I thought I wasn't going to compete. I talked to the sponsors. I talked to the people closest to me, and they said, no, I'm going to compete. I feel good. I have fluid retention. The bet is about to go down." And there's some parts in this that didn't translate that well. That's one of them. He said, "I said, well, it's over. Compete." And well, we competed. We took 4th place, and I'm very happy about that. So again, that's the AI transcription of exactly what he just said. And this is the full Spanish-speaking translation. And this is almost exactly verbatim, if not verbatim, what I read you guys in yesterday's video. So compare this to what I just read from you from the transcription. I wasn't going to compete. A week before, I was doing very well, and we traveled to Abu Dhabi. I got sick. I hadn't told anyone before, but I got sick. The change in the climate affected me a lot. I got a flu, I got a fever, I got chills, and I was on medication for 3 days. During those days, I had a very high fluid retention. I thought I wasn't going to compete. I talked to the sponsors, I talked to the people close to me, and I said I'm not going to compete. I don't feel well, I have fluid retention, and the tuning up is going to be fatal, and they told me it's already here, so compete. So according to both the transcription and translation from AI of the video I just showed you of what he's saying, what he said on his live stream, and what the translator said, they're both saying essentially the same thing. He got sick at a week out. He didn't want to compete. He talked to the sponsors and the people around him, said he didn't feel good, didn't want to compete, and they said, no, you're going to compete. That's essentially what he said in the video. Now, to give Rubiel a fair shake here, he was quoted specifically as saying, forced me to compete. And I guess the only thing that you could really debate is that he didn't use that specific word of forced. That was not in either transcription or translation. So that's the only thing I would give him the leeway on, is you can't directly quote him as saying forced with quotation marks if he didn't actually say forced, and in neither of these translations does it say that. But if he's saying he's sick and he didn't want to compete, then he talked to his sponsors and they said, no, you're going to compete. That's just semantics. That's essentially what they're doing, is making him compete, essentially forcing him to compete. So while that might not have been a direct quote when it was first reported by who is the best bodybuilder in Generation Iron, that is essentially what he said. And again, if you go and look at Neckzilla's statement, he says he simply wants to clarify that all the news is fake. And it was people with unknown intentions that created all this fake news. And I think the people that first reported this, who is the best bodybuilder, Fernando Arroyo, Generation Iron, I don't think they really twisted his words here. They may have slightly incorrectly quoted him, but that's what he's saying in the clip. So to be generous to Rubiel, I would say at most they misquoted him. But looking at this, it's certainly not fake news. He said this. It's on video. We have the video. I'm kind of just shocked that he would post this. He's like digging himself an even deeper hole. I think chances are good it was his sponsors that made him post this, because they probably weren't happy with what he said and then the narrative that followed him saying that. But if you look at who is the best bodybuilder's Instagram and you look at his response to Rubiel, he also shows that clip from that podcast that Rubiel did 2 months ago at 8 weeks out from the show, where he's talking about his sponsors. And he's talking about how he wasn't able to work with his coach, Fran Espen. And he basically spells it out in this video at 2 months out. They ask him point blank, has a sponsor forced you to compete at the Dubai Pro? And he says, I would have bought tickets and I would have returned to Spain. The truth is, there's something that doesn't fit me, and we had to postpone the start of our preparation for when Dubai is over. So if you guys just read along with that text on the screen, it's already translated for you. This interview was also in Spanish. But this was kind of the point that I was making, is like this track record that Rubiel's building up of 2 months out, before he even knew how he was going to look, before he knew how he was going to place, before he was ever sick. He was already blaming his sponsors for things and already implying in this that he didn't even want to do the Dubai show. And then after the Dubai show, he's saying, I was sick, I was on medication, that's why I looked the way that I looked, and I didn't want to compete, but my sponsors told me that I had to. And then, probably the worst move of all of them, is after he says this in his live stream, and people start reporting on it, then he makes another statement saying that all of it is fake news and none of it's true, when he's on video saying it. And look, I understand if his sponsor was mad that he said this and that people were talking about the fact that he said this. I mean, They're his sponsor. They're paying him. They don't want him to be saying negative things about them. So I understand if they said, look, you got to correct this. You got to come out with a statement. And I would understand if he came out with a statement saying, look, I shouldn't have said what I said. It's not true. My sponsors didn't force me to do anything. I misspoke. I didn't mean what I said, whatever. But instead, he's like turning it on everybody else that's talking about it and saying that, oh, they're just making stuff up. That's fake news. They're lying about me. They have malicious intentions. It's not that I said it. They're just putting words in my mouth. I'm telling you guys, this guy needs to get like a good manager or a good team around him that could review these posts and say, no, you shouldn't post that and call everybody a liar because you're on video saying exactly what they said you said. Again, I'll give him a little bit of grace, minus the word forced. And even preemptively, like ahead of that, a good manager that would say, don't come out with a statement and blame your sponsors for how you looked or blame your sponsors for having to compete while sick. That's probably not a good idea. Or maybe don't go on a podcast 8 weeks out and say, I didn't even want to do the show. My sponsors forced me to. That's probably not a good idea if you want to keep your sponsors. Or maybe even a manager that would say, look, bro, it's a really big deal to get invited to the Arnold Classic, let alone both Arnold Classics. And you've only done one pro show. You just made your pro debut. You've already got an invitation to the Arnold Classic that some bodybuilders go a lifetime as pros without ever getting invited to. It's a really big deal. Maybe you shouldn't blow that off back to back. Maybe they won't invite you back next year, and they probably won't. I feel like he needs some good people around him. And again, I say this because I feel like this kid has so much potential, and he's got such a great physique. And I can see the look on his face when he made that sponsor, the video earlier today. He looks like he just doesn't know what he's doing. He's making bad decisions, and someone needs to help him out because he's digging himself a deeper hole. So I'm not correcting him here to be a dick. I'm correcting him here because what he's doing isn't the answer. If you said something, you got to own what you said. You can't just say, oh, they're lying, they're making that up, if you said it. And he did. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And Rubiel, I'm not trying to be too hard on you, dude. I'm really not. But I just think you got to be smarter with some of these decisions that you're making because you are losing people. I'm reading the comments on your post, on a lot of these videos. People are not liking these responses that you're giving because they know it's bullshit. The hype train is going off the rails a little bit. I'm trying to help you correct that. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.